Hey everybody, Molly McKinney here with NASA 360. We are so excited to be joining you today in this historic event as we watch the total solar eclipse of 2017 happen throughout the continental U.S. Sorry we hit you guys a little bit late. As you can see, we're out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, so cell towers are a little spotty out here, but hey, it's a live program. We may have more unplanned excitement for you this afternoon, but we are so happy to be here. Thanks for joining us. NASA 360 is actually streaming this event from 3 different locations today. We're trying to give you all the absolute best vantage points that we can from the land, sea, and air today. As you can see, we're on a Coast Guard boat just outside of Charleston, South Carolina. We're about 5 miles out at sea, and we also have crew members from NASA 360 at the historic Fort Moultrie. They're going to actually show you a really cool telescope vantage point of the eclipse this afternoon, and we also have our team with NASA 360 in the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. So if you want to check out that feed, you can at nasa.gov/eclipse live. As you can see, this is a beautiful view out here. It's so nice to be out in the water. No matter where you are, we're going to make sure that we bring you the best coverage of this eclipse. If you've been following the eclipse, you know that this is the first total solar eclipse that's happening across the continental U.S. in 38 years, which makes it really exciting. But even better, anybody in the U.S. can at least experience a partial solar eclipse today, and we're going to give you some really cool vantage points to do that. So in just a second, I'm going to show you a little bit around the Coast Guard boat and tell you about the project that we're working on here today with the College of Charleston. So let's take a little walk and I'll kind of give you a quick tour of where we are this afternoon. Hopefully you all don't get too seasick. Our poor cameraman's having to walk backwards while he does that. So this is the back of the Coast Guard boat that you can see. If you look up there, you can see some of the equipment that we're using for our launch today. The total solar eclipse that's taking place today will start in Oregon, and it will come all the way across the U.S., ending here in South Carolina. The partial eclipse is going to start about 1:17 p.m., so we're about 15 minutes out from that, and then we're going to experience, hopefully, the total solar eclipse at 2:47 p.m. So let me walk you back here. Let's hope our camera guy doesn't go overboard. I'll catch you, Jim, if you do. I don't know what jackpot I hit to actually be able to watch the eclipse out here on the ocean. Charleston's the last city that the eclipse will be coming to in the U.S., and we're the lucky folks that actually get to see the last little bit of it as it leaves U.S. waters. So this is the team that I want to introduce you guys to. This is the College of Charleston that we're working with out here. And this project, I love this project. It is so cool. They've been working on this for over a year. And what they're doing is they're launching a weather balloon up into the stratosphere, and they're going to monitor the solar eclipse from 100,000 feet up in the air. They're one of, I think, 55 balloons, isn't it right? 55 balloons that are launching across the country today in honor of the solar eclipse. And so scientists will be able to use all of that data from all of these different intersects to actually study this eclipse and see what is happening here on Earth. So in just a second, we're actually going to launch this balloon, which means that we have to call the FAA and get clearance for the airspace. So Cass is going to do that in just 1 second for us, and we'll just let you guys follow the action. If you're just now joining us, this is NASA 360. We're coming to you live from a Coast Guard boat just 5 miles outside of Charleston, South Carolina.
The Charleston team, we're calling for
Perfect.
our launch window, please.
And this is Cass, who's calling the FAA.
Clear from 1:30 to 1:40.
1:30 to 1:40. Thank you very much.
1:30 to 1:40. You're welcome.
Charleston window out.
Yay, we got clearance! It's going to happen. Live programming, you never know. There's only so much we can control. Weather's one of them. Big celestial objects passing in front of each other is unfortunately another one we can't control. And clouds, you know, it is what it is. So, Cass, why don't you tell me your title and kind of your involvement in this project?
Oh, gosh. Title, I'm the director of the South Carolina Space Grant Program, and I'm an associate professor at the College of Charleston in geology. What we're doing here is we're launching this balloon, of course, one of the 50.
Which makes it sound really easy, and I'm sure it's not. You've been working on this for over a year.
Yeah, almost 18 months for our team.
I'm cutting you short. Almost 2 years you've been working.
2 years, and it's been a great experience for these guys. They've learned teamwork and communication, troubleshooting, real time fixing things on the fly, just like we've been doing today since we got out here.
We have too.
Yes.
So give me an overview of the weather balloon process and what you're about to do as you get ready to launch.
So we are turning on the payloads right now, the video camera, the still camera, the virtual reality camera that will give us 360 view once we get up there. And making sure the parachute is connected to everything, as well as the cutaway, because once we get up to a certain altitude, a razor blade in there will cut away based on a signal from a cell phone. Really? Yeah. Once it gets up, hopefully to 100,000 feet. We'll see how it goes. The predictions today said it could go a little higher than 100,000.
We would love if it would go higher than 100,000 feet. So with the cloud cover that we're experiencing in Charleston today, do you think that'll be okay once it gets above a certain altitude?
I think these are up about 20,000 feet or so.
Oh, so we'll be fine. We'll be golden.
And there's blue sky coming, it looks like. So
That's wonderful. So help me understand. There's a video camera that's attached to the weather balloon. We're going to launch the weather balloon, and then as it ascends, we'll be getting footage of this and streaming that to our team that's in Fort Moultrie?
Correct. The video footage will be coming down to the boat, and then we'll stream it directly to Fort Moultrie.
And what are you all hoping to learn from this footage that you capture?
Well, we want to see what the atmosphere looks like. More than anything, we want to see the shadow of the eclipse as it crosses the continent to offshore South Carolina.
I'd understand if you were like, we just want a really cool view of the eclipse.
Yeah, well, the other thing is we want to see the curvature of the Earth, because I hear there's people that still think the Earth is flat.
Yeah, we've heard a couple of those.
And the Coast Guard's saying they hear that a lot. So We'll be able to show the curvature of the Earth, that we have not fallen off the edge out here, even though we're offshore.
Yeah, we're high risk out here in the Atlantic.
Put our wings on. Let's see, the blackness of space, and hopefully the cameras will be able to pick up the planets or a few stars.
Wow. Even just from being that high? Or even down here on Earth, on the ground, we'll be able to see that?
Yes, people that don't have cloud cover should certainly be able to see it. Hopefully they'll move away for us. It looks like they're moving, though, which is good.
And real quick, we have obviously multiple reasons out here to be looking up, but talk a little bit about eyeglass safety today, because we've heard many people say that they plan to watch with sunglasses, and despite me having them on, I'm not going to watch with sunglasses.
So I'll demonstrate right now with my sunglasses, because I don't have the eclipse glasses, but please use your eclipse glasses. Look down, approved, yes. Look down, put them on, and then watch the eclipse. And then when you go to take them off, don't look at the sun. Look down to take them off.
Okay, that's good advice. We obviously want people to be able to experience this eclipse and many more to come in the future, and you can't do that if you harm your eyesight. So walk me through the process of what they're doing right now to get everything ready for launch.
So right now they are turning the equipment on and making sure everything is attached. We don't want to lose anything as we let it go from the boat.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate.
Cindy's holding the balloon right there. And we're about ready to connect the nozzle and inflate the balloon.
What do you use to inflate the balloon with?
This is helium tanks right here. We've got...
How much does the thing weigh?
I think one tank weighs about 200 pounds. It took a couple of the coasties to bring it on for us today to get it over the gangway.
It takes a couple coasties.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
So now what's happening?
So they are making sure that the balloon is securely attached. We're bouncing all over here.
On a boat. We're moving back.
We're rocking back and forth. They've got the duct tape to securely hold the balloon to the nozzle. We'll add some zip ties and some more duct tape because we really don't want it to get away until it's fully inflated and we're sure that all of the payload is secure.
So does it inflate and you just let it go and it does its thing, or what happens?
All right, cats.
Yeah, it's going to be about 10 feet in diameter, maybe a little bit larger before we let it go, so that it will have enough lift to take the payload up. Our payload is about 12 pounds. Actually, it's less than 12 pounds. I think it's coming in at 10 pounds today.
Wow. What time are we at now, do you know?
Honestly, I don't know what time.
119.
119, all right.
And our launch window is 1:35?
135-ish.
Okay, perfect.
What are we looking for?
Well, we may let you guys finish getting ready. We're about 5 minutes from our launch sequence here, I guess. And so we'll go ahead and talk to the Coast Guard real quick and understand a little bit more about their involvement. I'm going to move this tripod out of the way real quick. And I'll take you back this way. We're here now with Clayton Clayton, tell us a little bit about the U.S. Coast Guard's role in the eclipse. I have to be honest, you guys aren't the first ones that come to mind when I heard about the solar eclipse happening.
Well, we're in Charleston, which is a great city, and a great city for getting out on a boat. And there's going to be a surge in traffic as far as people coming out to watch the eclipse. So, I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. But the Coast Guard is just really trying to urge safety, because it's going to get really dark, and we want you to use your lights. We want you to have your life jackets on. Safety is key. So while you're enjoying this, just be safe.
What are some of the things you all do in terms of crowd control? I mean, I think about a lot of people on land and on the beaches, but I forget that people would come out to the ocean to actually watch these events happen and be on lakes and all those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Coast Guard works with partner agencies such as CBP and local authorities, including the Sheriff's Department and such. And we're out here. You can see we have several boats out on the water today, and we're just out ready to respond if anything happens. That's what these guys are trained for. When we're not doing search and rescue and watching eclipses, then we get to launch balloons and do cool stuff like this. So it's kind of a unique opportunity to work with the college and work with NASA, and this is what the Coast Guard loves to do when we're not rescuing people.
When you're not busy doing other things that are equally as important.
Right. So Coast Guard's really into STEM, advanced education, things like that. So anytime that we're given an opportunity to do stuff like this, we'll jump all over it. I
love that. Is weather balloon a technology that you all are familiar with? Is this outside of your all's comfort zone, or is this,
We don't use weather balloons. The Coast Guard doesn't use weather balloons. We look to the specialists at NASA to manage that type of stuff. We did used to use carrier pigeons for search and rescue, but that didn't last very long. Yeah.
I mean, we're pretty far out. We may have to switch to carrier pigeons at some point today. It's hard out here.
You guys keep the feed going. The skies clear up a little bit, and we're able to see the eclipse, and it should be a good event.
Well, are you excited about the eclipse? I mean, this is a pretty good gig to be out here today with us.
Yeah, this is fantastic. It's a fantastic opportunity. I think it was 1991 when I was a kid. I remember seeing a partial eclipse, and that was really cool. And I didn't think I would, live to see another one, or thought another one was coming around. I thought it was only every 100 years or so. And so it's really cool. It's kind of a special day got a lot of stuff going on, but we'll manage it.
Do you remember much about the partial eclipse that you saw back then? I'm curious if it'll be a similar experience for you today.
I vaguely remember it. I just remember it got dark and eerie, and I knew it was supposed to be bright daytime Arizona day, and it was very strange. So maybe I'll have a flashback or something to relive those moments.
How are we doing on time? 1:35 is our launch window.
So we should be starting here in about 12 minutes.
All right, perfect. So that means it takes about 12 minutes for them to get this balloon ready to launch. So we're going to head on back and see how they're coming as they put the finishing touches on this balloon. For those of you who are just joining us, we're with NASA 360. Thank you for being with us. It's such a huge honor to cover this event from the bottom of my heart. I am so grateful for this opportunity, and I even get to be out on a boat just outside of Charleston, South Carolina. I mean, I really feel like I hit the jackpot today. So I'm going to help our camera guy because he's doing all of this live. He deserves an award at the end of this. And so for anyone that's just joining us, we're actually about to launch a weather balloon from this boat. We just got clearance from the FAA that our airspace is cleared. We're good to go there. So the team from College of Charleston is busy getting this weather balloon. Take a look at this. This is awesome. This looks a little different than when I was last here. Take a look at that. So this weather balloon is going to be sent up 100,000 feet above us. It has a video camera on it, and so we're going to actually get to see that video feed, which is going to be downlinked to our Fort Moultrie NASA 360 team. And that's one of the vantage points that we're going to live stream this eclipse for you guys. So we'll have this weather balloon, which is 100,000 feet in the air. I think the cloud cover we said earlier is like 30 to 40,000, so we're going to be well above the clouds here in Charleston. I saw a little test yesterday of what this footage is going to look like, and it is so cool up there. It almost looks like you're already in space. The sky's dark up there, and it's before the eclipse has even begun. So We're going to have that for you. In Fort Moultrie, we'll also have a telescope on the ground. And then I'm out here on the Atlantic Ocean, so we're giving you land, sea, and air vantage points today so you can take a look at the eclipse. I'm going to head over here and see if we can talk to the team leads here. Their titles are like balloon specialist and balloon expert. I love those titles. They're so good. Can I talk to one of you guys as you set up? I know you're busy.
No problem.
Is this a good spot? So kind of walk me through everything that you're having to get done and get last minute tweaked on to get ready to launch.
Well, I'll take you right across the string here. So right here we have our what we call the Aqua Jack. It's an APRS beacon designed to float when it hits the water so that we can find out where this balloon where it inevitably hits the water. As you notice, we've used a lot of Pelican boxes here. The reason for that is everything's waterproof because it's going to land in the water.
So that's one of the questions I had, actually, is how it comes down. You're going to send it 100,000 feet up into the air,
Yes,
and it's going to record for how long?
until the batteries die, so hopefully about 4 hours.
It's a real good answer to that question. Did you hear that?
Yes, ma'am. 4 hours. Oh, yes. And so to get this thing down safely and in one piece so we can retrieve the information, we have here is our Iridium tracking system that utilizes the Iridium satellite network to send a small message from there to our cut-down system, which is basically a pizza cutter. And it'll actually play the Imperial Death March from Star Wars, and it'll cut until we tell it not to.
Are you serious?
I'm 100%
That's amazing. Whose idea was that? That's so funny.
You can thank the smart folks at Montana State University for some of their brilliance, because we're here showing off some of their work today.
I love that. That's great. So this is filling with helium now, right?
Yes, ma'am. We've got 2 helium tanks right here. We have our primary tank and our backup tank. We're putting 2,700 pounds of helium into this 2,000-gram balloon, hopefully achieve about 13 pounds of lift. Our payload's 10 pounds, so it gives about us 2 pounds of duct tape and zip ties to get the thing all finished up, but I think it shouldn't be a problem.
What are your expectations for today?
Thrilling. For me, as I'm majoring in geology, just the eclipse alone is the treat. And the fact that I get to do all this great science, which is right next to my heart, right next to geology, is really, well, I'm flabbergasted. I can't even say how excited I am. This is I've been training for almost 2 years for this moment, and I'm about 5 minutes away. So it's like Christmas morning on crack.
How will you gauge your success? I'm in the worst possible place I could be standing, aren't I? You could have told me just to move.
Oh, no, you're fine. Could you repeat the question?
I was just curious, how will you gauge whether it's a success or not?
Okay.
I mean, it's basically almost 2 years of work that's boiling down to one moment today.
Right. Well, I think the success is the total effort that's been placed into this project across that year and a half. This is the result of all that hard work. All the chips have been cashed, so to say, and so I think all these folks have a lot to be proud of already. And us capturing the eclipse, that's just the treat.
How did you first hear about this project and decide, yeah, I want to be involved in that?
My teacher, Cass, she wrote me into NASA a long time ago, and I've always been excited about it. And she came along one day, she said, hey, you think about filling up some balloons for an eclipse? And I absolutely jumped at the opportunity because I know Cass only gets into good stuff. She's had a long career with NASA, so she's a real smart gal, and I haven't looked back since.
Can you kind of walk me through the Ascent process and what you're going to be collecting, how the technical side of how all that works, what you're going to be doing down here on the ground as it does?
Okay. So what's going to happen here is we're filling this balloon. We have approximately another 1,000 pounds of helium to go, and then this we'll have a very specific sequence in which we let the balloon go, tie it off. All of our instruments are on and running right now.
That's a good sign.
Talked to my buddies at Fort Moultrie, and they can confirm that all this stuff is working because they can view it just through the internet. So we're totally disconnected, but they are still pretty much on the boat with us now.
And what's that team in Fort Moultrie doing for you guys?
They will be recording our still images. So we have one payload here, which is which we will record the video locally here. Yeah, about another 1,000. We're almost there. As well.
You're checking to make sure it's full all the way.
Of course. Yeah, we want to make sure we get enough lift in this balloon. We don't want to have a sinker. So
Nobody wants a sinker.
Nobody wants a sinker. Nobody wants a stinker. And then this video, so the folks at the Fort Moultrie will be getting these still images from that payload over there. It utilizes a ground plane to send a radio signal at the 900 megahertz range. And the thing we have over here is going to be sending down to the ship. It'll be coming down through our parabolic dish we have back there into our laptop and streaming out to the world.
What do you hope to learn from the data that's being transmitted to Fort Moultrie from the balloon once it's up?
I'm pretty excited to see around Earth. You know, a lot of people still aren't too keen on admitting that, but hopefully we can throw another ticket in the hat of proof there. Initially, we'll be able to see the shadow of the eclipse, or shadow of the moon rather, coming across the Earth, and by combinating all of our data with 54 teams, we'll be able to extrapolate the speed of that shadow.
Why there are over 55 balloons that are being launched over the course of the country today. Why did you all choose to launch over the ocean, over the water, instead of over land?
Because we just wanted to make it as hard as possible on ourselves, to tell you the truth.
They're going to say because it's school.
The honest answer is we wanted to be the most distant end member. So there's folks out in Washington that are catching the initial, and we're catching the final. And to really catch the final, this eclipse will extend out past land into the ocean. And so we're getting that final little data point for our folks.
What are some of the challenges that you've run into launching from a Coast Guard vessel in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean?
One is a constant rocking boat. The next is dealing with a whole bunch of technology that doesn't want to get wet. And yeah, we are 2 seconds to go time here. We're almost got all of our air in, so we're about ready to begin our launch sequence.
I'll get out of your all's way. Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, 500 psi to finish.
For those of you who are just joining us here at NASA 360.
That's why we got 2 tanks. What happened?
It wasn't taped good, I don't think. It came off.
Okay.
That's why we bring the backup
Well,
tank.
yeah, you brought a backup tank and a backup balloon, I assume. All right, we're going to try this again. Why can't you touch it? The oils in your hands will degrade the balloon. All right. Well, we tried just now to launch that first one. It's all right. It was all live. Everyone saw it. It's good. Hey, if this isn't realistic to real world science, I don't know what else is. That's true. What's key is that you actually had backups, you know? So.
The name of the game is gripping.
I had it as good as I could.
It's just all right. Stuff happens.
So we're going to try this again with the balloon launch. For those of you who are just now joining us, we are about 5 miles out at sea in Charleston, South Carolina, and this is a weather balloon that we're basically launching right now. We tried to just launch one, and our duct tape wasn't sealed all the way, so one launched already without the camera, which wasn't our ideal situation, but hey, this stuff happens. This is all part of the game, and so we're launching this weather balloon. We have a video camera that's going to be attached to it, and so as this weather balloon launches up 100,000 feet above us, we'll be able to send that signal over to our team who's in Fort Moultrie, and they're going to be able to live stream that feed to you, so you can watch the eclipse from about 100,000 feet up in the air. We'll also have a telescope on the ground in Fort Moultrie, and so you can see from the ground, from the air, and from us right here in the sea.
So just have somebody have a hand over the chicken neck ready to pinch, just in case that happens again. This one's for all the marbles.
It's got a lot of lift too, so I need someone to stay and balance it.
Yeah, I'll stay underneath with you.
The students here are from the College of Charleston. They received a grant from NASA, Space Grant, to work on this balloon project. They've been at it for over a year, so everything really does come down to this moment for these guys. There's a lot of emotions attached to this project being a success for them. So they've spent so much time working on it. And so it's really important now for Cindy to keep hold of that base of that balloon, so as we fill it with gas here, it works. You can hear the gas going in now. I'll get my mic closer so you can hear it. The other tricky thing here is we've placed a call into the FAA and we're cleared for airspace, but that only went until 40 after. So we've got to get this balloon filled up in the air and safely launched in that window of time before we lose our airspace. So let's hope that Sam and Robert and Cass and Cindy and the team here can get it going. For anybody joining us right now, this is the first solar eclipse that's been in the continental U.S. in 38 years. So today is really special for all of us. What makes this even more special is that anyone in the continental U.S. will be able to see at least a partial eclipse today. So this is really a national event for our country and for the world with live streams like ours. So everybody can watch no matter where you are, whether you're one of the lucky folks that are in the U.S. that can see the eclipse in person or you're watching with us online. We'll be sure to give you as many cool vantage points as we possibly can. It's a lot riding on these team members right now as they fill this weather balloon. They unfortunately had one already launch a little early before we had the video camera and the rest of the equipment set up. So we're really hopeful that this one can get filled and we can have a successful launch here on the U.S. Coast Guard ship about 5 miles out from Charleston, South Carolina. I can't even imagine how these teams feel. I'm nervous for them, and I just came into this project about a week ago. They've been working on this, I think some of them for almost 18 months. So it's a big deal for this to go off without a hitch for them. And hopefully they can get some great usable data and we can learn more about this eclipse. The last eclipse that came through 38 years ago, we learned a lot from that one. And we're hoping that with the technological advancements that we've had since then that we'll be able to learn even more this time around. So we'll see. This one's looking more promising. As we wait for this balloon to fill, obviously if you've been following the eclipse, everybody seems to be harping on this, but it's worth harping on one more time. As much as we all want you to enjoy and experience this eclipse as it happens today, eye safety is really important today. There are these approved safety glasses that you can get. There's some that are cardboard. There's some that might look a little cooler than those that you can use. But we've had so many people approach us saying that they plan to wear sunglasses to watch the eclipse today, and we can't stress enough that that's not the safe way to go. You really need to have approved eyeglasses, and just as it is for your eye, the lens on your phone and in your camera, it's not healthy for the lens to look at the sun directly, so they have actual filters that you can get to put on the camera lens, and if the sun comes out a little bit, we might try that in a few minutes so you can see with our camera while we're live what that looks like that will happen after this balloon hopefully successfully launches. So take a look here and you can see we're getting close. For anybody just joining us, this is NASA 360 outside of Charleston, South Carolina. We also have teams today in Fort Moultrie and in the Great Smoky Mountains filming the eclipse from atop a mountain. So you can check out that stream at nasa.gov/eclipse live and click on the Great Smoky Mountains. How are you looking, guys? How far away do you think you are?
Probably another like 15 minutes.
Not even, maybe 5.
Maybe five minutes. So what are you having to do now? What set you back when we lost the first balloon?
Well, basically, we had about half as much helium in our second tank, so now we're using what's left over in the first tank to fill this up all the way. So that was really the only setback.
And time.
And time, of course. And we're actually dropping our still image payload just to make up for the weight that we don't have on lift now. So.
And the still image payload was just kind of a nice to have thing anyway. The video is really what you're hoping for with this one.
Exactly, yeah, and like I've always been saying, Windows print screen takes a pretty good still image, so we can always grab those from the video.
That's true. We have some good photographers around the country working on some still photos for this eclipse. Are you disappointed that the first balloon was launched early, or is this just kind of part of the deal?
You can only be so disappointed. You know, mistakes happen, things happen, but you just gotta, you know, prep for such things like we did. So hopefully everything will work out for us.
We're all human after all, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're all human.
So for folks that are just joining us, if you can, I know your hands are truly busy right now. Can you kind of walk me through what we're about to see as it launches and as you all get ready?
So when we go to launch, we're going to set up in a line, and we're going to let go of the payloads in stages. So the first is going to be the parachute, followed by our video payload, or followed by the Iridium tracker, then the video payload with the VR camera, and then the ham radio tracker. And you're just going to kind of see us let them all go, because we were just going to, once it's up, we're just going to let go. We don't want to hold any weight against it, because that could throw the balloon down into the water.
We don't want that.
We don't want that, because then it'll pop earlier, because it's going to have water on it.
So the balloon will ascend 100,000 feet up into the air, and then it's going to hang up there for how long, roughly?
The latest prediction we did had us popping around 3. So if we launch at 1:30, that's about, what, hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours? Yeah. So that's a good bit of time.
That is a good bit of time.
Yeah.
What are you hoping to see once you're up there?
I just think it's going to be cool to get to see above the clouds, maybe get to see the curvature of the planet, but what we're really aiming to capture is the shadow of the eclipse as it comes across Charleston.
And why is that of interest?
I don't think it's ever been recorded before, so I think this is a big deal. I'm not positive on that, though. Like I said, I'm the team technician, so I've just been my head buried in computers the whole time.
Are you nervous about any of the technical details of the launch right now?
Not really. I've tested everything so many times. I'm very confident in the systems being able to work. So I'm feeling good about it.
Is that your Fort Moultrie team that's talking to you all from the walkies, or?
That could just be some people just coming over the intercoms.
Oh, okay.
Radio, it could be anybody.
Have you all let the Fort Moultrie team know that you're a little delayed in the launch, or how does that work between you all?
I don't know. Well, they're probably watching this right now, so they probably saw the balloon go. And I think Sam probably communicated with them, but I'm not positive. But it's looking like we're running out of helium early here.
For those of you guys that sounded like it. For those of you who might just be joining us, I'm Molly here with NASA 360, and we're streaming live from a Coast Guard boat about 5 miles out of the coast of Charleston, South Carolina. We also have team members on the ground in Fort Moultrie, at historic Fort Moultrie, and we're going to be launching this weather balloon in just a second. It's a really cool project that the College of Charleston has been a part of for well over a year, and these students are going to launch this weather balloon about 100,000 feet up into the air. They have a camera that's attached to the balloon, and they're actually going to be hopefully documenting the curvature of the Earth as well as the eclipse shadow as it passes over Charleston here. We are very hopeful that they'll be able to get this off the ground. This is kind of the moment of truth, because this is where we had some issues in the first balloon. So tensions are a little high right now. Unfortunately, our service is a little poor out here on the boat since we're in the middle of the ocean, so I'll try and keep checking back as much as possible to see your questions. So they're going to use some zip ties and tape now to seal off that balloon, which now has gas in it. Oh, this one makes me so nervous. I don't want it to go before they're ready. A whole year plus of planning all comes down to this one moment. Let's hope these guys can work well under pressure. And talking to Cass earlier, who's the director on this project, she said this is really what these projects are all about for high school students and college students, getting the opportunity to work in real-world situations under pressure. You can clearly see they're having to work as a team right now to pull all this together. This is really what it's all about, because this is what's difficult to teach in class in school. Looks like they're really double checking this seal now, since they had some issues with the first one that they launched, but they seem optimistic that this one is gonna be a success. So I'm gonna get a little closer so you guys can hear.
So we're just gonna go ahead and track. What are we thinking?
I'm thinking.
So I guess we should follow the track of it. I don't know.
All right.
Do we want to tape this?
Yeah, I just want to get a feel for how much lift we have here.
You ready?
So everybody let go. I got it. Okay. All right. We got something to work with here.
Can you feel it?
Yeah.
What do you want?
I just want to feel the lift.
All right, folks. Let's get the show on the road.
We got it?
We need to tape this.
Cass, can you walk me through what's happening now?
We're troubleshooting. We're trying to figure out how much lift we actually have, because just lifting this, it's probably 1.5 pounds.
Okay.
So
And what does that mean?
The balloon doesn't have enough helium in it to take
Okay.
everything that we had planned up. So we're trying to figure out what has to
What's
go.
crucial
Yeah.
and what's not? What all is in the payload?
This is the video camera,
Okay.
the waterproof box.
Okay.
And then the box behind you is the satellite tracker, the Iridium tracker.
So if we lose the satellite tracker, we can get the video feed, but we won't be able to find where the
Right, and we also
balloon
have
is.
this very, very lightweight, very nimble, but delicate ham radio tracker here that has been tweaked, shall we say, so that it can float if it falls back to the ocean.
So what decision have you made? This is a tricky spot to be in.
I'm letting the kids make it. This is the student project. It's all about them, and they're troubleshooting really well right now, actually, and talking together well.
And I was just saying, we talked earlier, and you said this is really what these projects are all about. So students can experience real-world situations and learn from mistakes.
We've had a lot of successes, and we've had a lot of successful failures. This is definitely on the way to becoming a success.
One of my favorite NASA quotes is, "Failure is not an option, it's a requirement."
This is true. And think of all the things that everyone's learned through all of this, from 18 months ago to today. So.
And hopefully they won't make these same errors in the future, and so it won't be on somebody else's dime if they do. And
Had we launched and this happened 6 months ago, we'd be a nervous wreck, or Sam would be right now.
yeah, he looks cool as a cucumber.
But they're calm.
Maybe it's the camera on them, but they seem pretty darn calm about everything. How far away do you think we are from launching?
Seconds. It looks like as soon as they can confirm that they've got it tight. There's a minimum distance that things need to be, a minimum of 4 to 6 feet,
Why is that?
just so they don't bobble around and then they can fly.
And I love here because we're clearly working with the Coast Guard as we do this, which is pretty amazing.
Walter, if you want to ask him a question. He's been teaching us knots. We're definitely not coasties.
All right, guys.
Ready?
Yeah, go ahead and stand up. All right, so we're gonna do this a little different now since we got extra variables. So we're gonna slowly lift up.
All right.
So if you let go.
Let go.
I'll let go. Let go. All right, we got some lift here. All right. Forward on the boat. Stand by.
Wait, hold on. Let me make sure everything's comfortable. Okay, we got.
Go, you gotta go.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right, and out of your hand, Walter.
So they're actually moving the boat forward as we do this? Yeah!
There must be a hole in the balloon. There's got to be, because it's deflating already. There's got to be a hole in the balloon, unfortunately.
It should be lifting off, huh?
Be lifting off.
Well, at least we're live on camera.
Sam, what do you think?
I think we need more helium.
Do we have more helium?
Negative. So what happened was our first tank slipped away from us, and our secondary fill tank was not full. And this is what we call in the business a great old mistake. So we'll hunt the payload down, take some more stuff off, retrieve our balloon, and not give up.
So we're going to go try and recatch it, I guess, huh?
Oh yeah, I think we'll come right about.
Okay, so we are going to recover it. We're going to recover it and try to launch it.
If you're just now joining us, we're catching this weather balloon back, and we're going to try and relaunch it here, see if we can actually get it to ascend up. We're having to work with the leftover helium that we had on the boat because the first balloon unfortunately left early. So we are troubleshooting live, and the guys are doing such a good job and thinking clearly during this moment and not rushing around, giving in to adrenaline.
KNXP-11. All right, still coming in.
All right, so this thing just lost about a pound.
Forget the jack. That's the only way to track it.
Where's the antenna?
Oh, I see.
How far away do you think you guys are from trying to relaunch it? Seconds? Minutes? A minute? We'll give it just one more minute, and then we'll go ahead and toss to Scott and Jesse, who are over in Fort Moultrie, are going to give these guys just one more minute to see if we can actually get this this weather balloon up.
I'm just going to cut the tail off, Cass. Wait. Sam, hold up.
Put this on the tail.
I need to cut this. Sam, cut.
This? We had a premature balloon escape, so we are refilling a secondary balloon with ultralight payload.
Sam said it best, a premature balloon escape. So the situation that we're dealing with here on U.S. Coast Guard ship about 5 miles out off the coast of Charleston, South Carolina. And I had just heard a standby, so we are about to launch this balloon. And you can see that camera hanging there. All right, peace, weather balloon. This is successful. Hey, third time's the charm, right? Good job, guys. It's awesome. That's good. Nice work. How does it feel to actually have been able to successfully launch it?
Well, it's a bittersweet, but I must say, feels pretty good to see that balloon finally take off.
That's a very nice sight to see, isn't it?
With absolute minimum payload,
So
minimum tracking device, but it'll guarantee get the Eclipse at that rate, I'm for sure.
All right, so it's climbing now to hopefully 100,000 feet.
Hopefully, yes, ma'am.
Yep, and we'll have video feed or no? What did you have to sacrifice to get there?
We had to sacrifice one of our video loads and as well as one of our still image loads, but we still remain to keep our virtual reality camera.
The 360 camera, and we'll have that video for you all in a couple days once it's edited together. So that'll still be a really cool vantage point to see the eclipse, and you'll get to relive it like it was today. But it'll be in a couple days.
Yeah, everybody got to relive it over and over again. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sorry for rubbing that in there.
Yeah, no problem.
It's all good. Well, we'll go ahead and toss to Fort Moultrie, where Scott and Jesse are. They have some NASA subject matter experts that are going to tell you everything you can possibly know about the eclipse and what you can expect. And there might be a little bit of a delay because clearly we're out in the middle of the ocean as we come down from this live stream link and they come back up. So just hang with us. It'll be a couple seconds as we dip down.
Hey everybody, welcome to Fort Moultrie. I'm Jessie Wild.
And I am Scott Bednar.
And we are live in Charleston, South Carolina to watch the Total Solar Eclipse.
Yes, we are excited to bring you this live stream from historic Fort Moultrie. It's a national monument, it's a national park, and we were lucky enough to be invited here to watch the eclipse today.
The partial eclipse has already started. We just got a peek through the telescope you're going to see a little bit later.
Yes.
And we're about 1 hour from totality, so we're getting very excited
Yes,
here.
we were really nervous that the clouds were going to be just too much, but they've just started to part, and we've already seen it. So
Just for us.
Here we go. So let's get this show on the road?
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it. So we are here with the ground station team from the College of Charleston. They are already receiving data back from the balloon that you just saw launched over on the Coast Guard boat. I'm here with Carson. Carson, how you doing?
Hello, man. I'm great. How are you?
Good. So tell me a little bit about the data that you're receiving back from this balloon.
Yeah, absolutely. So this information that you're seeing here is essentially what all the other all the other teams are using to track their balloons. So about every 30 seconds, it's updating its location, latitude, longitude, and altitude. And when we get this new ping every time, we're putting it into here. This is our program to control our ground station. So what happens every time it pings, I'm going to come in here and change it, and I'll just show you, for example.
Yeah.
So right now their latitude is 32.759. Let's just pretend that it goes up to 9.5. I'm going to come over here. Oh, I'm sorry. I hit the wrong one. I'm going to come over here to manual control. So it's 32.733. That's where they are right now.
And that's the altitude?
This is latitude
latitude.
and longitude. So it's essentially just
where
saying
they
where
are.
it is, like on the planet.
Okay.
You know? So we're going to just pretend that they're here now. And so we're going to come over here and we're going to update it. And it's going to move around a little bit. And then we come in here and we change the angle of elevation. So we'll change it to 120 degrees. And it's going to go up like that. And I'm pretty much going to do that every time it updates its location.
All right, so tell me, what is this antenna capturing?
Oh yeah, totally. So this antenna right here is essentially the thing that we use to receive the images that are on the cameras on there. So it comes through here, it gets essentially changed into a digital form, and it comes into our computer so we can see the image. Now we're still waiting for our team to put up the balloon, but everything is on right now, and once it's up in the air, we'll be able to get pictures and everything back. And then this antenna, it looks like a plate, but it is definitely an antenna. This is where the coordinate information is coming from. So it's coming through here and it's coming right back into our computer. And it's coming onto here, it's coming onto here. We've got all sorts of ways that we can track it. And another really cool thing is they've got an APRS beacon on it. So essentially that's the same thing that the Iridium network is doing, but it updates a little bit more often, and it's a little bit more exact because it uses a ham radio band, and that's how we're communicating as well. We've got a ham radio here, and we've got, I don't know if you can see my math here, but essentially what I'm doing here is taking the coordinates and the elevation that the balloon is at, and finding the vertical distance between, or the horizontal distance rather, between our ground station and the balloon, and doing some math, some trigonometry here to find out what the angle of elevation is. And then once we get that, I just plug in all that math back into here, and it changes its location and everything.
So Carson, when are you expecting your first images from this balloon? How high is it going to be, do you think, when you get them?
Well, the balloon is going up 100,000 feet, which is pretty high.
Yes.
But I'm going to be trying to take a picture every minute or so. It is about 6 miles away, 7 miles away right now, so there's a little bit of lag time between when I ask for the picture and when it actually comes in. So you've got to give it a little bit of time for it to come in, and it comes in chunks as well. So it's not one whole picture. It comes in little chunks about every second. And it's not on right now, but we're just waiting for them to turn on the payloads there, and we'll start.
We will definitely check back with you then in a little bit when you start getting images, because we definitely want to show these to everybody real time.
For sure.
Thank you so much, Carson. I appreciate it. I'm going to let you get back to work and get back to your mathematics over here.
Cool, thanks.
All right, so Carson isn't the only person from the College of Charleston here at the ground station team today. We also have Ashley Turner. She is over here at our Eclipse Outreach table. Ashley's an Eclipse Outreach Manager. Hey, Ashley, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing so good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Really excited for the eclipse.
I know, me
It's already
too.
started, and we saw it.
Oh,
we
I
didn't
know,
think we were
just
gonna.
a little bit, just enough.
So tell me a little bit about what an Eclipse Outreach Manager is.
Okay, so for huge events and celestial phenomenon like this, it is so important to do outreach and to educate the public about what's going on so nobody freaks out too much, and you get people excited, and you want to educate people on what we're doing and what they're going to see. So we do some really cool activities with the public, and one of the things we've been doing is UV bracelets. I've got one on right now.
Oh,
so I've
that's
alternated
lovely.
yeah, so I've alternated regular, just blue beads, and then the clear ones are actually UV beads. So they have a special pigment that reacts with UV rays and changes color in direct sunlight. So it's super, super cool. And then I have on this little cardboard slip, I also have some UV beads that I've sprayed a ton of sunscreen on, and you can see that they're still clear, so they actually haven't changed color at all, so they're being protected by the UV.
By the SPF.
I know, isn't that so cool?
So
Yeah.
this can also tell kids, if your beads are purple, do not look up at the sun.
Exactly, so you can look at your bracelet and you know the sun is shining, UV is full force, you gotta take those precautionary steps to protect your eyes and your skin.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about this balloon project. You guys have been working on this for almost 2 years. What has this taken?
It's been crazy. I would say one of the most important parts of this project is collaboration, because as we've probably mentioned already, we have over 50 teams who have had to coordinate this entire experiment, essentially nationwide. So collaboration's been really important, and then practice, practice, practice. We've had 8 test launches. So yeah, we've just kind of had to get to know all of our equipment and, you know, prepare for the worst, because we were kind of expecting rain today, so we have taken all the measures to properly prepare for that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, Ashley, this must have been an amazing experience for you as a student. What kind of opportunity has this been?
It's been so incredible. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me is, well, obviously just the experience itself, but I think it's also been a great time to network with people, and I have met so many incredible people in so many different fields. It's been insane. So yeah, it's just been an awesome experience to put on my resume, and I'm gonna carry this with me forever.
Indeed. As will I, actually.
Right.
So thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back in a little bit and make myself a bracelet. I need a fashionable accessory for my outfit. All right, so these balloons have been launched across the country, across the path of totality. I believe over 55 of them. And NASA's Space Grant Program has funded this. So to find out a little bit more about NASA's Space Grant Program, we are here with Tara Scazzaro. Hi, Tara. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
All right. What is NASA's Space Grant Program?
So the Space Grant Program started in 1988 all across the country. South Carolina became a Space Grant Program in 1991. So we've been doing this type of stuff since 91. We get money for fellowships and scholarships for students, research grants for faculty across the state. South Carolina Space Grant has 15 colleges and universities that are part of our program, including the University of the Virgin Islands. So faculty and students can apply to us for research awards, education awards, scholarships, fellowships, and we hold competitions every year and select students and faculty to go forward with their projects.
So this balloon project was one of these examples.
Yes, this was a special project. Montana Space Grant kind of got the idea to do this, and we've been working with them along with 53 other Space Grant balloon teams to put this together
across the path of totality.
Across the path of totality. 32 states, I believe, are participating, 54 teams.
So at this point, we've already started our totality, so all these balloons are already up in the air as we speak.
They're up, right, yes. I think our balloon may just have gotten all the way up.
It's almost there?
Yeah.
That's going to be a record, isn't it?
I bet it is.
I'm very excited.
Yeah,
so I also understand that it's not just college students that can get involved, but also high school students. Is that true?
Yes. So with this project, we have 2 high school teams. We have Palmetto Scholars Academy. They are launching their balloon, or have launched their balloon now in Moncks Corner. And then we also have Stall High School, and they have launched their balloon inside of the Charleston River Dogs baseball stadium today.
So great.
And they're also working with Puerto Rico Space Grant.
What an opportunity that must be for them.
Yeah, I think they're having a great time. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Tara, I really appreciate it. It sounds like NASA's Space Grant Program is doing some pretty amazing things across this country. So thank you very much for your work.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Enjoy the eclipse.
You too.
All right, folks. So we actually, Lincoln, Nebraska just experienced their total solar eclipse at 2:02. How exciting. We here in Charleston are just under 1 hour away from experiencing our eclipse, and we are incredibly excited. The air is thick with anticipation and humidity. It's very, very hot. So earlier this week, NASA 360 was lucky enough to be invited to the Children's Museum of the Low Country, where we got to meet some really interesting people to talk about this eclipse. There was lots of children, and it was very, very noisy. They had hammers. Take a look and see what I mean.
The Children's Museum of the Low Country is ready for this eclipse, and they've even traveled in NASA scientists who we're going to talk to today to help kids understand the eclipse and everything that there is to expect. So let's go check it out. Bleacher is a solar system educator with NASA Goddard, and she's the perfect person to get an overview of everything NASA's doing here in Charleston, South Carolina to prepare for the big eclipse. So Laura, kids are here at the Children's Museum. There are lots of folks that have traveled here to Charleston to experience this historic event. Why is it so historic?
Well, it's an amazing opportunity for our entire country to observe a solar eclipse. Either a partial eclipse, or if you're lucky enough to be along the path of totality like we are here in Charleston, a total solar eclipse where the moon will completely block out the sun's light for a couple of minutes, depending on where you are.
That's awesome. NASA's known about this event for a long time. Some people are just finding out today, some have known for a couple weeks. What's everything that NASA's been doing to prepare for this event?
Well, we've been trying as much as possible to get the word out through our website, eclipse2017.nasa.gov, also by interacting with the public at places like museums and schools, and just really trying to help spread NASA's people around the country and especially along the path of totality as much as possible, so we can let people know what's coming, help them prepare for it so they can view it safely, and help them so they can actually understand what they're seeing. Because we want everyone to walk away from this with a real appreciation for the eclipse and to be able to explore with us beyond the eclipse as well.
For young people in particular, maybe you have children, maybe you know children, what are some of the takeaways that are important for kids to understand about the science going on, everything that's happening with our planet?
Yeah, so I mean, the eclipse is wonderful, right? Because we have this amazing opportunity to do some observing of the sky. But NASA's doing observing all the time. You know, we're constantly observing the sun, we're observing the Earth, we're even observing our moon. And those are things that people can continue to learn about and explore with us beyond the total solar eclipse.
So we have a good idea of what it's going to look like already.
We do, exactly.
Thanks so much. It's so fun talking to you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, thanks for having me, and I hope everyone gets to enjoy the eclipse.
Here to tell us more about the moon's role in this solar eclipse is Jake Bleacher, who's a planetary geologist. So tell me about the moon and why it really needs to be given some credit in the solar eclipse this weekend.
It's a big part of the solar eclipse. So my name is Jake Bleacher, she said. I'm at Goddard Space Flight Center, and we study the moon. Among other things, we study everything at Goddard, but I'm a geologist, so one of the things I do is study planets and moons. And so the moon is a central player in the solar eclipse. So what we're here doing is basically a campaign to make sure that the public are able to enjoy viewing the eclipse, but that they're also doing it safely. Because if you don't view the eclipse safely, you could do some damage to your eyes. And so here, what we're doing is working with the children here at this museum to teach them how to do it safely. So what I've been doing for a little while is helping kids make these small bracelets.
Besides making fashionable bracelets.
Right, fashionable, quite fashionable. But what we're doing here is we have special beads on here that react with UV, ultraviolet radiation. And so we tell the kids, you know, you put sunscreen on when you go out in the sun because the sun can actually burn your skin and damage your skin. It can also damage your eyes. So during the eclipse, as the moon is moving in front of the sun, these beads will be receiving the UV radiation, and they actually glow purple. So we have a light here that has UV radiation coming out of it. You can see that the beads have changed color. And so what we're encouraging the children to do are make these and then wear these, and what they have them outside during the eclipse, if the beads are purple, they know that there could be damage to their eyes or their skin.
Keep the glasses on.
So during that time, they need to wear the glasses. But then the other key thing we're trying to teach all the children is, you know, what you don't want to do is look up at the sun and then put the glasses on, because at that point, you've already looked at the sun and you could be damaging your eyes.
And sunglasses aren't going to cut it.
They don't cut it. You need some special glasses, and luckily we have many pairs we're handing out here. And there are a number of other techniques. So we're handing out materials about how to safely view and witness the eclipse. So if you don't get a pair of glasses, there's still many different ways that you can actually still enjoy the eclipse.
That's great.
And then during that moment of totality, here in Charleston, the last city that will be witnessing the eclipse, that'll last for about a minute and a half. And you can actually take the glasses off, and that's when you can really enjoy the event.
NASA's obviously very excited about getting people inspired and understanding the science behind what's happening, but their #1 message here is safety this weekend.
That's correct. We want everyone to enjoy this, but we want everyone to enjoy it safely. And so You don't see an eclipse all the time, so we're out here to try and educate everybody about how to do it safely so everyone can have a good time.
And hopefully see more in the future.
That's right, that's right.
Star Jordan is the Director of Education here at the Children's Museum of the Low Country. Star, what all have you all been doing here to prepare for the eclipse?
So we started working with South Carolina Space Grant in conjunction with NASA about a year ago to prepare, yes.
Wow, this has been a long time in the works.
It has, yes. So we're very excited for Monday to come. And we're so grateful to have NASA scientists here today as well.
I bet kids love being able to see NASA scientists walking these halls, ask them questions.
Absolutely, and they get exposure to different careers in science as well than your just typical NASA astronaut you tend to think of.
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think it's important to expose kids to science-related activities early on?
So we start very early on. Our target audience is birth to 10. And yeah, so we
right from the beginning.
we get them early. So we have a lot of programming that works with STEM in very young ages. We feel that's important because our research shows us exposure to STEM concepts and experiences gives them the opportunity to develop problem-solving skills and math skills, which are so crucial. Those early experiences lead to greater understanding later in life.
And potential career opportunities too if they decide they're interested in that subject matter.
Absolutely.
Last question. You have an eclipse coming right through the path of totality in your backyard. How excited must you be?
It's so awesome. We're just so lucky to be here and to experience this. My background is in geology, and I studied planetary geology.
Seriously?
So this is
like all of
amazing.
your worlds colliding in one.
Yes, it was meant to be.
That's great.
I just couldn't ask for anything better.
Good. I'm so excited for you. I'm excited for me too, selfishly.
And welcome to Charleston. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Welcome back to Fort Moultrie. We are so fortunate to be able to watch the eclipse from such a unique and historic vantage point. Fort Moultrie is part of the National Park Service and dates back to the late 18th century. It's one of 21 national parks that are in the path of totality for this solar eclipse. And actually another one is the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, where the rest of the NASA 360 team is streaming the eclipse live from on top of a mountain. Be sure to check them out at www.nasa.gov/eclipse-live, but make it back to our stream also. We're going to talk to the interim superintendent of the national park, Gary. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, well, thank you. It's good to be with you guys.
And so, Gary, what is your role here at the national park?
Well, currently I'm the superintendent here at Fort Sumter National Monument, Fort Moultrie, and I'm the park manager essentially. And I work with the management team, and we just ensure safe and operations of the park. So.
Can you tell us a little bit about the history of Fort Moultrie and Fort Sumter?
Yes, I sure can. So. Fort Sumter is obviously famous for it's the first shot, of the Civil War. Yeah. So that's its claim to fame. And it was once a three-story, beautiful fort. It was reduced to rubble during the war. And in Fort Moultrie here, it's unique. It predates Fort Sumter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a wood fort originally, and now you see what it is today. So, I mean, yeah. So.
And what can people see when they come and visit this national park?
Well, at Fort Moultrie here, which we're on the roof of the visitor center right now, right? So we got a nice visitor center down below. And then across the road is the fort itself. And what you can see is 171 years of coastal defense on display.
Wow.
And at Fort Sumter, there's two access points for a ferry. And one's at Patriots Point in Mount Pleasant, and one's at Liberty Square in downtown Charleston. And Liberty Square is the visitor center for Fort Sumter. You can take the ferry out. It's just it's a great event.
Well, we got to make a trip over there at some point.
Yeah.
Now, the path of totality is actually fairly narrow going across the country,
Right.
and you are right in the path. How does it feel to be right in the middle of everything?
Well, it's a great experience. We're a little bit cloudy today, so we're hoping we'll get some cleared up, get some good shots.
I know, we're all hoping that.
Yeah. So, like you were saying, there's over 21 national parks in the line of totality, and we just happen to be the last one.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting to be that. Yeah.
It is very exciting. Thank you so much for talking with us, Gary. We're going to talk to another national park ranger as well. Don, come on over. Dawn, hi. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
And can you tell us your name and your title here?
So my name is Dawn Davis, and I'm a park ranger managing the public affairs for Fort Sumter National Monument.
And we want to talk specifically about the Junior Ranger program. Can you tell me about that?
Absolutely. So at the Washington level, they developed a special Junior Ranger program just for this occasion, for the eclipse. And so the parks were able to get copies of it, and they developed a special badge. Children 12 and under, and even adults who want to do it as well, can do this Junior Ranger program as a family and learn about eclipses and have some fun and earn a special badge.
Thank you so much, Dawn. And we actually have a very special guest with us today. We have a Junior Ranger with us. Come on over. So, can you tell me your name and how old are you?
My name is Yura, and I am 12 years old.
And where are you from, Yura?
I'm from Michigan.
What brought you all the way out here to Charleston?
We were originally planning on coming down here because I've wanted to be in this state and be able to come see the state for a long time, and it happened to coincide with the eclipse.
And you got to get an eclipse badge today. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I did. It was fun because I could test out like putting fingers together and seeing shadows on the ground.
And did you learn how to put glasses on?
Yeah.
Yeah? When is the next solar eclipse that you're going to be able to see?
It's in 2024, and I'll be 19 years old.
Oh, that's very exciting. Are you looking forward to that one?
Definitely.
And is this your first Junior Ranger badge?
No, I have done many other Junior Ranger badges in many other national parks. And I've been to many more national parks that didn't have Junior Ranger badges, and they were amazing.
And and now that you're an official Junior Ranger on the Eclipse badge, what advice do you have for people today?
My advice is don't look at the sun without glasses or you'll get blinded.
Very good advice.
If you do have glasses, look at it.
That's right. I hope everybody has glasses and they can look at it at home. Thank you, Yura. Thank you for being with us. Now, NASA 360 visited the Children's Museum in Charleston earlier in the program, and now we're going to take a visit to the city's aquarium. We're going to speak with an aviculturist, that's someone who studies birds, about what they're expecting from the bird population during the eclipse. We're here at the South Carolina Aquarium in Charleston, South Carolina, where not only are they getting people ready for the big event, but they also have some in-house residents to prepare for as well. Beth Demas is an outreach education manager right here at South Carolina Aquarium. And Beth, what kinds of things are you all doing to get ready for the big day?
Yeah, well, so today, Saturday, we had NASA here, thanks to the Low Country Hall of Math and Science with the College of Charleston and Space Grant. They were great in bringing us NASA and having them here at the aquarium to engage our guests. We are all about getting guests and engaged with the natural world, and what better way to do that with getting people excited about the total solar eclipse that's happening here on Monday.
I mean, here at the aquarium, you can cover this stratosphere all the way down to the very bottom of our planet.
Absolutely, yeah. So we really just want to get people excited and engaged in science and in the natural world. And so, yeah, so on Monday, we've got a lot of really cool stuff planned. We're really excited because we are doing some total solar eclipse themed enrichments with some of our animals. So we've actually paper maché'd the Earth and the moon and the sun, and we're going to put those into some of our animal exhibits with food stuffed in, of course, food stuffed in there. So we have that going on. We also are going to have some fun activities for our guests, and then we're going to be watching our animals in our two outdoor exhibits. So we have a salt marsh exhibit and a mountain forest exhibit with animals that's actually exposed to the outside. So they're going to get to experience the solar eclipse, and so we want to be able to see what goes on with their behavior when that happens. And so we're going to be recording it and live streaming it on YouTube, our YouTube channel as well. So we're pretty pumped about that. That's great. Yeah. And then, of course, when the total solar eclipse happens, we're going to invite our guests to step outside and engage with them as it's going on, too.
You guys
Get
have
them
a
to
pretty
watch.
nice location.
We do. We have a great harbor deck out there, and then, of course, the big lawn in front of the aquarium. So we expect everybody to go outside and experience it, and we'll be there right along with them. So we're pumped here, too. Yeah.
Monty Wallace is in the husbandry department here at the South Carolina Aquarium. And Monty, I can't even begin to pronounce your title, let alone understand what it is.
That's okay. I'm the aviculturist here at the aquarium, which means I take care of all the birds. And we have about 40 of them, so it's a big job.
No tiny little task there. So you have a really interesting viewpoint then of studying the eclipse on bird species here.
Yeah, so we're trying to look at how our animals interact with the eclipse going on, and so we just want to try to make sure that they're all happy and healthy in it, and that they're exhibiting natural behaviors during it, probably.
So the eclipse is a natural event that's happening. You're expecting the animals to respond with natural behavior?
Fairly naturally, probably a little bit modified because it's not the time of day when it would normally happen, and well, for our birds here, they're going to be experiencing these nighttime feelings at a time when there's guests in the exhibits, and that's something that doesn't naturally happen, as well as the fact that it's dark in the middle of the day.
So how are you monitoring that behavior here at the aquarium?
Well, we have some cameras set up in some of our exhibits to try to capture the overall experiences they have, but I'll definitely be paying really close attention to some of our bird species that we have, especially in one of our exhibits in the salt marsh, because we have a really awesome opportunity there with two species that have very similar lifestyles, but at different times of the day, being a nocturnal one and a diurnal one.
So what kinds of things are you expecting to see there?
Okay, well, so the two species are herons, a yellow-crowned night heron, suggesting he's a night bird, and he is, and our little blue heron. Both very similar in size, very similar in hunting strategies, only one of them hunts during the day and one of them hunts during the night. So the little blue, who most likely, or is most oftentimes, kind of wandering around in the grasses and in the salt marshy parts of our exhibit during the day, may decide to take some refuge in his perching areas for his nighttime perching at that time. And at that time, maybe our night heron, our yellow-crowned night heron, who generally sits and hangs out in the trees during the daytime, he might come down and start spending a little bit more time in those grassy, marshy areas where he would normally be hunting at that time.
You're gonna be like, that was the shortest night I've ever experienced.
Yeah, I didn't get quite enough food that night, but
I'm
they'll be
exhausted and hungry.
And that's, and that's part of it too. They don't necessarily realize that it's only been 6 hours and night's starting to show up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I think that some of these behaviors are going to be things that we wouldn't necessarily know that they naturally do. I get here early and I get to see groups of shorebirds. We're right here on the harbor, heading from their night roosts across the harbor out to the beaches on a daily basis. Big groups of them making a whole bunch of noise and heading out. And they come back at, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and maybe people don't really notice that. But at 2:30 in the afternoon, a lot more people are probably going to notice these big groups of birds heading back to their nighttime perching areas.
They're going to think, oh, they know something that we don't know.
Yeah, exactly. They know something's coming. We got to follow the birds.
But really, it's just a natural behavior, and they're just changing
it's
based on the time of day.
A daily commute, kind of.
Huh. Interesting. I never thought about this dynamic when it comes to planetary and solar natural behavior.
And whether or not their natural internal clocks are going to be overcoming that, and they're going to be saying, wait, now I'm confused a little bit, and maybe that does happen a little bit. But these are natural things that happen. Oftentimes we have thunderstorms that roll through this area, especially in the summertime, that make our area very, very dark in the middle of the day. And these are things that these birds have experienced before, not necessarily seeing the sun in the process of that, but natural occurrences that I don't think are going to affect the birds unnaturally, but maybe we think they're unnatural behaviors because we don't see them at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, I'm grateful that you have the research opportunity to take a look in here too.
I'm excited to see what happens on Monday.
So. They are too.
Yes,
clearly.
exactly.
Joshua Santora is an educator at Kennedy Space Center. So Joshua, tell us about the outreach initiatives that are happening across the country for the eclipse.
Yeah, so obviously this is a big deal. It does not happen much for a solar eclipse to come through America, especially a total solar eclipse. We haven't seen one like this for 99 years. So it's been a long time, we're excited. So it's ultimately just a great teachable moment because across the entire country, there are going to be people in major cities who will undeniably be drawn to look at the sky. And so with NASA, we're focused on exploration and outreach, especially in space. And so this is a chance to just hone in on that and teach people about the stars and the sun and the moon. And so we're just eating this up. This is just like, it's kind of like the lottery. It comes around and you take full advantage.
This is NASA's lottery.
Exactly. Yeah.
NASA hit the jackpot this month.
Yeah, and so when we're excited too, because there's another one in 7 years, so we'll get another shot. Very, very unusual, unlikely for that to happen, but we're excited for that too. Because again, teachable moments that are inescapable.
I love that. Now here in Charleston, you guys are doing a lot as well, even here at the aquarium. Tell me about some of that stuff.
Yes, Charleston has been phenomenal at hosting us. There is a massive NASA presence descending upon the city right now. We have people today at the Charleston Museum. We're at the library here, downtown Charleston, and we're here physically at the aquarium, and we're putting on programs for people who are attending these venues just to inform them about the eclipse, to explain safety, and to just get them excited about what's going on. We also have NASA TV, who is running their main show out of Charleston. There's a lot of folks headed to the Yorktown. It's a kind of a VIP event where there's going to be astronauts and bigwigs and all kinds of people from across NASA, the agency, to show up and really just represent, again, what we're doing. So Charleston's phenomenal. What a great city. They've been phenomenal hosts, and so we're excited to be here in the last piece of land that will see total solar eclipse on Monday the 21st.
Welcome back to Fort Moultrie. We are lucky to have a few folks from NASA with us today, and we're going to speak with Josh Fody, an engineer at NASA Langley Research Center, so we can learn a little bit more about solar eclipses. Josh, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a privilege.
Josh, what is a solar eclipse?
Well, a solar eclipse is simply when the moon casts its shadow on the Earth. So any body that's orbiting the sun will cast a shadow away from the sun. The moon orbits Earth about 12 times per year, so inevitably on occasion that shadow will pass over the Earth. About 2 to 5 times per year we'll have a solar eclipse on Earth.
And what makes this solar eclipse so unique or so rare?
Well, first of all, this is a total solar eclipse. So of those 2 to 5 times per year, actually on average only once in about every year and a half we'll have a total solar eclipse on Earth. Now, a total solar eclipse is when the moon is completely blocked out the sun.
Great. Now, what is the corona, and why is it so special that we're going to be able to see it today with the naked eye?
Well, the corona is really an amazing thing to see. It's very rare. To be able to see the corona, the sun has to be completely blocked out by the moon. And the corona doesn't emit its own light in the visible spectrum. So the photosphere is the part of the sun that you see with your naked eyes. It is about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so it emits light in the visible spectrum, which is what you see with your eyes, and in the infrared spectrum, which is what you can feel as heat. But the corona is 1.8 million degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
So it's actually glowing in the spectrum that's ultraviolet, which you're familiar with because you wear sunscreen to protect yourself from ultraviolet light, and also in X-rays. Now, X-rays could be harmful, but they don't ever make their way down to the Earth because of Earth's atmosphere and our magnetic fields.
But you just said we can't see part of the corona. How can we see it today?
That's a good question. So when the moon perfectly blocks out the sun, it enables us to see the scattered light that's leaving the photosphere and going through the plasma, which is just sort of ionized gases because of the gases being so hot in the corona. So if you think of being in your bedroom and you see dust flying through a sunbeam in your window, the dust isn't exactly glowing. It's scattering the light in the sunbeam, but it allows you to see that sunbeam. And the plasma in the corona follows magnetic field lines in the sun's atmosphere. So it's really cool because we can visualize what the solar magnetic field lines look like, just like when you scatter iron filings on a paper and cover it with a magnet.
So that's something you can try at home. Now, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Why is this eclipse traveling from west to east?
Well, all eclipses travel on Earth from west to east because the moon orbits Earth from west to east. Now, it does so much slower than the Earth rotates, the moon orbiting the Earth about once every 30 days, and the Earth obviously revolving in one day, 360 degrees. So the moon and the sun always seem to rise from the east and set in the west, but the moon is in fact orbiting from west to east, so the shadow it casts will travel from west to east. Now, the speed of that shadow varies depending on the shape of the Earth, the path it takes across the Earth's surface. But on this eclipse this particular day, the shadow crossed the Oregon coast this morning or earlier today, going about 2,400 miles per hour. And it will exit the coast here in Charleston shortly, going about 1,500 miles per hour. And that means it only took about 90 minutes or a little more than 90 minutes for the total solar eclipse shadow to make its path from the Pacific to the Atlantic Ocean.
Isn't that pretty amazing?
That's very
And we're
fast.
actually the last stop before it exits out of the U.S. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the difference between a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse.
So a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse. A solar eclipse is the moon casting its shadow on the Earth, and a lunar eclipse is Earth casting its shadow on the moon. So lunar eclipses are actually more rare than solar eclipses. I said a solar eclipse is between 2 and 5 times per year. A lunar eclipse can occur up to 3 times per year, but sometimes not at all in a given year. And another interesting difference between a solar and lunar eclipse, if you want to see a solar eclipse, you have to be on that specific spot on Earth where the shadow passes over to see the eclipse, where we are now. on a lunar eclipse, anywhere on Earth that you can see the moon, you can see a lunar eclipse, which is about half the planet.
Great. Now we have your telescope here with us. Can you show me how you outfitted your telescope to watch the eclipse today?
Sure. So this is just a standard off-the-shelf Dobsonian. It's an 8-inch diameter aperture. And basically what it means is light comes in the top, and it bounces off a mirror in the bottom, and then bounces off another mirror which sends it out to the eyepiece where you would view. Now the sun is far too bright to ever look at through a telescope. It would be very dangerous to do that. So I've built this solar filter at the top. So this is just an old popcorn tin, and then you can get by these films online. It's a luminized mylar. It basically just cuts the light down, and instead of having this full 8-inch aperture, I have an aperture a quarter the size. So it's a 2-inch diameter aperture, and that allows significantly less light from entering the telescope, so we can see the sun safely, and it's really beautiful to watch.
Have you been able to see anything so far?
We have, yeah, and more recently than we had earlier, so I'm hoping that it stays this way for totality.
I know, we are really hoping that. Thank you so much for being with us, Josh. We really
pleasure.
appreciate it. Scott, did you see that telescope?
Dude, it's so amazing. I got to look through it earlier. Holy crap, you could see sunspots.
You could see the sunspots.
It's unbelievable.
It's really cool.
All right, Jesse, well, it looks like it's time for us to say goodbye at Fort Moultrie.
We're only about 15 minutes away from totality now.
Cannot
We are
wait.
so excited.
But before totality happens, we're going to go back to the Coast Guard boat with Molly to see what's going on with the balloon and the College of Charleston students.
So stay with us as we transition back to the boat. We're sending our signal via satellite about 5 miles away, so it might
Go up
take
and
a
down.
second.
Hey guys, Molly McKinney with NASA 360, clearly on a boat outside at sea, outside of Charleston, South Carolina. And we're here looking at the partial eclipse, which is underway, but we just actually released a weather balloon, how long, 30 minutes ago or so?
35 minutes ago.
35 minutes ago. And so this is the team from the College of Charleston that launched that balloon. They actually launched the balloon with the hopes of being able to record video of the eclipse.
Of course.
We had a couple little hiccups. So So why don't you walk me through as team lead kind of what encounters you had, and just this is all part of the learning experience, right?
Well, yeah, it's more than a learning experience. It's a scientific experiment. You know, if we knew what the outcome was, we wouldn't be doing it. And so this was our first time actually letting go of all of our gear. And, you know, stuff happens. Big old gust of wind came, sucked it right off of our mount. Never had that happen before. It happened today.
Of course, it happens when you're live on camera.
You know, it's okay. You just got to take it in stride. We learned a lot. Everything we learned from this experience hasn't gone away. We just don't get the cherry on top. You know, that's a shame. But as one of the guys on the boat put it earlier, it's Mother Nature will still continue regardless of the folly of man, and that's absolutely right. It will eclipse, and I'm witnessing it now. And, you know, it's not bittersweet, it's just sweet.
What I think is so amazing is that you all had one failure with the balloon that prematurely launched. You tried it a second time, and you had a failure again, and you even had the decency and the preparedness to try for a third time, and that was the one that actually launched.
Of course, you can never give up, ever. So we just work with what we got whenever we got it, and that was the cards we were dealt, so we just had to play what we could.
And so unfortunately, to get the third one to launch with the depleted helium levels, we had to forego the live stream video component, but there is still a 360-degree camera on board that's capturing this data. It's a beautiful day up above the clouds that are over Charleston, South Carolina, so in a couple days we'll get to watch that video. What will we see in that?
Hopefully you'll get to see a quick ride up and a quick ride down of what would have been live today. Unfortunately, things happen and never seem to go as planned, and so we still got to launch one of our 3 cameras, and while it's not ideal, we're still operational.
I think it's also interesting that we're trying to control so many factors down here, launching a weather balloon from a boat, and it's all these things that we can't control, and then here we're witnessing a natural event that is way beyond our control.
Of course.
You know, let's talk a little bit about the eclipse. Thank
Sure.
you. What are your hopes for the eclipse? The balloon part is done. The balloon
Yeah.
is up. It was successful. How do you feel now just getting back to sit and watch the eclipse?
I'm just hoping to get a good view of it. We're heading further into the path of totality now, so we're hoping to prolong our time in the totality. So hopefully we'll get to see that for a little bit longer to make up for the lack of the successful launch. So
You did get a balloon up in the air, and it is streaming video, so I think that is a successful launch.
And we are still streaming from our video payload. It's just no longer streaming from a balloon. We just have it pointed at the sky right now.
That's great. And Cindy, what's your title with the College of Charleston?
The director of the Low Country Hall of Science and Math, and so I do a lot of the public engagement outreach for the School of Science and Math.
So balloon stuff aside, this day has been a success. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yes, of course. I mean, this is Mother Nature, and to be able to witness an event like this, and this is my first time seeing a total solar eclipse.
It's mine too.
Super excited. It's starting to already get a little bit darker out here, I guess, and so it's in a way kind of eerie, but in a cool way, exciting way.
Talk a little bit about how your eyes adjust to the lighting, because I popped inside. It's pretty toasty out here in Charleston, South Carolina. Popped inside just for some AC really quick, and then I came out, and the ocean was drastically different in color. I could really notice it, where you guys being out here, your eyes gradually adjust to it, I guess?
Right, like we didn't, when you came out and you were like, wow, the ocean colors changed a little bit, I guess I hadn't picked up on that until you pointed it out, because our eyes are slowly adjusting to things getting a little bit like dusk right now, you know?
For those folks who maybe found out about the eclipse recently and haven't been tracking it for as long, why is this eclipse so special?
This is special for us because we haven't had one cross the continent in almost over 100 years. And then also, if you think about what's going on up there in the sky, everything has to be just right. You know, it's kind of like Goldilocks, right? And the Three Bears. It's got to be just right. And so it's really neat to be able to witness this time when the orbits are, you know, they're tilted, and so that's why we don't get these very frequently in one place or in the same location. So everything's just happening at the right time. So we're privy to that. We get to see all that.
How does it feel to be out here in Charleston, the last city that the eclipse is happening, and be able to experience it?
I know, it's exciting, and I think it's really exciting to be on the water too and not on land. It's a very different experience out here. Really? Yeah, but just to be able, the grand finale, I feel like, is what we are out here. So it's exciting.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I was talking to the guys earlier. We as humans try to control so much, and even here we're launching a real life science experiment live, dealing with all of the little hiccups that pop up with that and troubleshooting. And I just love that we get the opportunity to stop and rise to 100,000 feet level and just realize what's really important, what this opportunity is about, and just observe nature as it's happening.
I know, it's exciting, very exciting. I know. And you're right, we do try to control things. This is out of our control. You know, we had some people say, why'd you schedule the eclipse, which is kind of funny.
At the College of Charleston you did?
Well, some of our parents, I think, asked, why'd you schedule the eclipse this weekend? And then...
why did you schedule the eclipse of three celestial bodies moving in perfect line together?
It's sad in a way because it shows the lack of awareness people have of what's really happening up there with our planetary bodies. So more work for us in engaging them and getting them, raising that awareness and really telling the story of what's going on and how it is out of our control.
It's pretty surreal to think right now that it's getting darker because the moon is passing in front of the sun.
I know. And you know, I just looked up a few minutes ago with my glasses on, and it's quite a bit covered, and yet we still have quite a bit of light out here. It is like dusk. But, you know, if you would look up there, it's just a sliver. I know. It is so. It's exciting. I know.
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
I know. And we're about to witness, hopefully through, I know we have some clouds here, but Bailey's beads. And
can you tell us a little bit about those objects?
Yeah, so NASA's been doing some really cool research, and one of the scientists has really mapped out the topography of the moon, and we know that there are mountains and valleys there, and when those kind of interact with the rays of the sun, so to speak, it shines through brighter at some points, and we call those Bailey's beads and diamond ring. That is what's causing that effect, is the topography of the moon.
Any little flares or flickers that you see as we get right up into totality, that's what you're seeing.
Right up into totality, yes. I know.
We're so excited to bring this event to you guys live. We're going to head back to Fort Moultrie. They have a telescope there that we were hoping we'd be able to get some video footage of the balloon today. Nature's proven otherwise. It's starting to rain, but hey, you know what? We are so happy to be here. Nobody's going to rain on our parade today. So we'll see you right after we get back from Fort Moultrie. And we're not going to talk during this. We're going to let you guys truly enjoy this experience as it happens. It's a natural event. We're not going to have phones out. You can't even take pictures with your phones. So just, we encourage you to enjoy this moment. Yeah. We'll see you guys soon. believe that?
Oh, wow, yeah, that's amazing.
Tell me a little bit about your experience, and you said this was a life-changing event as it was happening.
Oh, yeah, it's the most astonishing thing I've ever seen. Just a spectacle. I've never seen anything that amazing before in my life. It was just, wow. Yeah, just.
And we didn't even have to pay money for it.
Yeah, amazing. It's the best part of my job, coming out here and, supporting NASA and you guys out here, and it's just amazing. Yeah.
We're with NASA 360 here on board the Coast Guard vessel, about 5 miles or so off the coast of Charleston, South Carolina. We just witnessed the path of totality come through Charleston, South Carolina. A little bittersweet because we're the end. It continues on out into the ocean past the U.S.
Sad, we can't watch it any longer. I just want to keep following it, and until it never ends. So
you guys are probably the only ones that actually could do that, at least until it leaves U.S. waters, right?
Yeah, we probably could. Yeah, if we wanted to.
Well, we're going to switch over here and talk to Cindy real quick. Cindy, just for guests that are joining us for the first time, where are you from, and what has this experience meant to you?
From the College of Charleston, and such an incredible experience. I thought I was going to cry up there. I was on the bow of the boat, laying there looking at the corona, which we never get to see unless we have a total solar eclipse. It was just amazing.
It's an emotional experience. Why do you think there is so much emotion attached to something that we have no control over? This is a natural event.
Yeah, I think it's just because everything has to be so right. And these 3 celestial bodies in perfect alignment, and the sun is this massive thing out there, and the small moon can cover it up, and everything's just so right.
And we're all still alive. The world didn't come to an end like some folks were predicting, so that's always exciting too.
Exactly, no apocalypse, right?
Just for an overview for folks who haven't joined us before today, we launched a weather balloon into the air. We've got it 100,000 feet up into the air, and we're going to show footage of that over the next couple days. But what do you think this experience has been like for the folks on board, the students that participated in this project that are collecting data of the eclipse from all over the country? There were 55 balloons that were launched today. Ours was the last one. What kind of takeaways do you think the students have?
In talking to our students and our team at Fort Moultrie, and then also here on the boat, this has been almost a life-changing experience. And one of the coolest things for me as one of their mentors was that now they want to pursue working at NASA. They know that that's a possibility, just like it is for everyone out there, and to be a part of something that's never been done before. So this was an innovative project to capture the eclipse coast to coast with live video. And so to be a part of that, they just really, and to see them collaborate and to work together. This week, Puerto Rico was in-house in South Carolina, and so we had Puerto Rico, Stall High School, College of Charleston, and
you had different age groups, different languages being spoken.
Incredible experience to see that and to witness all of that collaboration and teamwork going into it, and everybody troubleshooting each other's equipment. I think that in and of itself makes this project a success. And while we had to launch our balloon a couple of times, that is also part of being with NASA and being part of science, right? So it's exciting.
One of my favorite quotes, I said this earlier, but is actually a NASA quote, and it's failure is not an option, it's a requirement. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, and with science, and I think as a parent and all of that, we don't want our kids to fail. But then
it's scary. Failure's so scary.
It's scary, but teaching children and students that it is okay to fail, and that's how we learn, and that's how we move forward, and that's how we progress, and that's why NASA has gotten where it is today, right? Through a series of failures and successes, and without failure, there is no success. So this is
all part of it.
It's just the nature of science. So.
For those of you that are just joining us, I'm Molly here with NASA 360. We're on board a U.S. Coast Guard ship that is sailing back into the coast of Charleston, South Carolina, and we're just talking about failure. We launched a weather balloon today successfully, but it did take 3 tries to get it up, and we're just talking about the importance of trying. I mean, the teams today, they failed the first time. That's enough to deflate an ego, and they did it live on camera, which is a huge blow to an ego, and they just rolled with it.
Right. I think we all were a little disappointed. Having been with this crew for a year and a half now, and knowing how they work, you could see a little bit of disappointment, as you would expect. But those students came through and pulled through, and you're right. I think it was a learning experience, and it was a very positive one for them.
I think so too. And what I love about opportunities like this, especially the ones that NASA provides, they give young people the opportunity to learn these lessons early on when they're still in school, before they get out into the real world. Hopefully they're not doing it on someone else's time. They won't make these mistakes. I'm sure if you talk to Sam or Robert today, well, they won't make these mistakes again.
Exactly. We've never had that happen before. I'm always the one that holds the balloon, and just appropriately gust of wind, and
I know why it happened. It was because that was rolling.
I know. I was trying to hold on to it, but they, you know, they're used to carrying. They couldn't carry my weight, but you could feel it tugging on you, and it.
But you guys had a backup balloon, you had backup helium, so you all were able to make this a success because you did prepare for the worst, and when it happened, you were still successful.
Exactly. We knew that we needed to be prepared in case anything went wrong the first time, so we did have all that backup, which was good that we did.
We touched a little bit too on how this whole eclipse has been an emotional experience for us, more so than I actually expected. I mean, I was teary-eyed watching. I'm like teary-eyed just trying to bring it up again, but I feel like there are so many moments in our lives as humans. We try and control everything because it feels really good to control it. And even today, we tried to control a lot of variables, and we did okay, but there are things that are outside of our control. And I think that's what makes this life so beautiful, is that you have these moments that are so fleeting, where it's probably some of the most beautiful moments that we'll ever spend on this earth are the moments that we can't control. Moments when 3 celestial objects are passing right in front of our eyes. And I just love that. I think that makes this life so exciting and so fun. And it's something that defies language, it defies culture. It doesn't matter what you believe in. We can all share in this experience together as humans. And I'm so proud to be a human today.
Yeah, me too. I completely agree. And like I said, I got a little teary-eyed up there. And it was something everyone kept saying, it's indescribable. Like, there's no words to really describe it, and that's so true. And then when the diamond ring kind of peeked through, that feeling inside of awe and wonder at everything that's happening in our universe, it's just really, and we're scientists exploring that, and engineers, and it's really cool to be a part of that.
And it's something that just doesn't have to be here in the U.S. just because it's happening in the U.S. Thanks to technology these days. We can all, as a globe, participate in this because it is our planet. It's our only home right now. Exactly. Maybe Mars one day will be, but we hope. But but this is what we've got.
For now. Yeah, exactly. And I'm really excited to get back now. I was hoping to see some dolphins out here.
Oh, wouldn't that just? I would melt. I'd be a sobbing mess.
Me too. But to see to hear how the animals responded, there's a lot of video cameras that have been put in the zoos and aquaria around the path of totality, and to see how the animals respond is going to be really, because we missed all the insects and all of that kind of stuff out here. So I'm excited to get back to that too.
The party never stops. Just because the eclipse is coming to an end, we have a lot of data to review over the next week. We've got a 360-degree video that we're going to be sharing, so you can see from 100,000 feet what the eclipse looked like up there. And it's just so exciting to be here. Gosh, it's such an honor. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all so much. It really has been an honor being on this team and working with these students. They're an incredible group of students. I can only speak for the ones in South Carolina, obviously, but man, we have a great future ahead of us.
We sure do. We absolutely do. We have just a few more minutes while we're going live here, but I'll give you a quick little tour of the boat so you can see. We're here in the back. And it's getting a little sunny now. It was really surprisingly dark before, but it's pretty sunny now. Feels a little bit more like Charleston, but look at this view. What a blessing it is to be here. Well, as this day comes to an end, it has been an absolute honor and privilege to be hosting this NASA 360 with you guys as we cover the 2017 Solar Eclipse live. Path of totality right here in Charleston, South Carolina, aboard a U.S. Coast Guard ship as we head back into land. And we touched about it before, but it's just such an emotional experience for us. literally on a boat right now, our poor cameraman. But, you know, there are just so many things that we try and control in this world, from what we believe in to what we're passionate about, everything down to what language we speak, what color our skin is. We tried to control a lot of elements today because we are trying to launch a weather balloon in the middle of the ocean. There are a lot of issues with that. We're competing with a natural event that's happening on time and on schedule, and we can't control that. And then we had weather here in Charleston, South Carolina. So from the bottom of my heart, I'm so proud of the students today that participated in this project. They're rock stars. They did all of this on live camera feeds around the world. It's a little embarrassing, and they just rolled with it. When they failed the first time and the second time, they kept going. The third time, thankfully, was successful, and we'll be sure to share that video with you all so you can see a 360-degree video of the solar eclipse in a couple days from 100,000 feet in the air. They were one of 55 balloons that were launched today, and so we'll be sure to share all that information. You can see all the data that we learned from that. But above all, in moments like this, I'm so grateful to be a human. There are such fleeting moments that we have in this beautiful life where we get to share moments like this together. It's something that we didn't need our cell phones for. We actually could look up, pause, take a moment to reflect on our place in this planet and our purpose and what we're trying to do in the fleeting moments that we have here in this life. So I'm so grateful to be hosting this show with NASA 360 on behalf of my team and everybody else. If you'd like to capture more information, you can go to facebook.com/NASA 360 and you can learn more about our show. And we'll be actually in Illinois next week, and you can watch us cover a 3D printing challenge where students have built 3D printers and they're having to build materials as well, and they're actually going to be printing habitats that astronauts can hopefully live in one day as we explore Mars. So stay tuned for that. On behalf of everybody here for the U.S. Coast Guard, College of Charleston, NASA, so many more of our project partners, we are so grateful to be a part of this, and we hope you all enjoyed the 2017 Total Solar Eclipse. I'm Molly McKinney signing off. Thanks, guys.